Some islands, despite their incredible beauty, brings nothing but terror upon stepping on them. The world's most terrifying islands. All these islands are beautiful. Nature has always been beautiful from a human perspective, but sometimes these islands, despite their allure, seem terrifying to humans. In these patches of land, amidst waters, whether in the distant past or now, events have occurred that have made them forever among the most terrifying islands in the world for people. Snake Island. Far from the shores of Brazil, almost south of Sao Paulo, lies an island called Ilha da Queimada Grande. This island has remained pristine and untouched for years, and for a very specific reason. No human dares to step into this deadly area. This island is home to venomous snakes to the extent that, according to locals, 5 venomous snakes live in every square meter of Ilha da Queimada Grande. You might wonder where these snakes get their food from. The answer is very simple. Migratory birds that unknowingly land on this island for a rest become a quick snack for these deadly snakes. The snakes of this island are a specific type of golden lance-head vipers, which are responsible for 90% of snake bite fatalities in Brazil. These golden-headed vipers can grow up to 1.5 meters in length and have a very quick reaction time. Upon biting and injecting venom, the bitten area starts to melt away. These golden-headed vipers are so dangerous that the Brazilian government has prohibited any travel to the island except the scientific research and assumes no responsibility for those who go to Snake Island. Although the presence of numerous snakes on this island cannot be ignored, Marcelo Duarte, a biologist who has traveled to this island more than 20 times for scientific research, claims that the local belief of 5 snakes per square meter is exaggerated. It's more accurate to say that there is 1 venomous snake per square meter, which still means that each step brings you closer to death. Izu Islands. Japan has many islands, among which the Izu archipelago is one of the most terrifying in the world, as breathing in this island is forbidden. In the Izu Islands, due to volcanic mountains, the air is filled with sulfur instead of oxygen, making it the place with the highest concentration of deadly gases in the world. You might think that with such conditions, no living being would dare to reside on these islands, but that's not the case. In this archipelago, many Japanese people have built homes. Before the volcanic mountains started to erupt, these Japanese lived in Izu. After the lava began to erupt and poisonous gases filled the air without stopping, the inhabitants of this terrifying island made a strange decision instead of leaving the deadly area. They put on oxygen masks, which they wear day and night and dare not remove. Although today the Izu Islands have become one of the deserted places in the world, they are still considered among the most terrifying islands. Believe it or not, the inhabitants of this area are paid to stay on this island, and scientists are trying to study the effects of living with oxygen masks and breathing minimal sulfur. Poveglia Island. Poveglia Island is one of the lagoons of Venice, Italy, is one of the scariest islands in the world, with its terror beginning during Roman times. After the ancient Romans gathered the wicked people, they decided to send them to a remote area away from where ordinary people lived, which was none other than Poveglia Island. Thousands of prisoners were transferred to the island, and they were left there without any food or water, leading to their inevitable deaths. Years passed until the plague spread throughout Europe, and the name of this island resurfaced. But this time it was used to send plague victims or anyone suspected to having the deadly disease, with the policy being to let the plague victim die in peace. When patients arrived on the island, they were thrown into large barrels and burned. It is said that nearly 160,000 people died on this island, and their remains can still be seen in Poveglia. After these two infamous events, a psychiatric hospital with a bell tower was built on this island in 1922. Many horrific experiments were conducted on dangerous patients in this hospital until a few years later, the island was abandoned. The island is so terrifying to Italians, and they believe the ghosts of those who died on the plague and were burned are still wandering around Poveglia. Fiji. If you think Fiji is one of the most beautiful and peaceful islands in the world, you are greatly mistaken. It has a horrific history that includes child cannibalism, child killings, torture, and death. The island of Fiji has no love for children, as evidenced by the diary of a missionary who traveled to Fiji in the 1840s. Tuesday, October 31st, 1839. This morning, we witnessed an unbelievable scene. 20 bodies of men, women, and children from a Tanuan tribe were brought as gifts to the Riva tribe. The bodies were distributed among the people of the tribe. Almost 30 children were impaled on stakes to show their victory. Other surviving children were taken to Bau to be taught welfare skills, enduring the worst tortures in the process. The missionary's diary also notes that children who died from disease were used as tribal symbols. Ramri Island. Ramri Island is one of the most dangerous islands in the world, holding the record for mass deaths caused by deadly animals. During World War II, Japanese forces attacked by the Allies sought refuge on a small island called Ramri off the coast of Burma. On February 19, 1945, the soldiers formed a long line and marched into the island, and where that Ramri Island was a haven for malaria mosquitoes, poisonous scorpions, and most dangerously, saltwater crocodiles. As night fell, the unsuspecting soldiers entered the shallow river they needed to cross, only to be met with screams of death from all directions as hungry crocodiles attacked. Braithwaite, who himself fought with the British Army during World War II, recounted in his memoirs what he had heard from the survivors of this horrific event. That night was the most terrifying night Tim had ever experienced. The screams of soldiers whose bodies were trapped in the jaws of crocodiles could be heard, and in that darkness there was nothing anyone could do. By morning, it was the turn of vultures to eat what the crocodiles had left behind. Out of 900 Japanese soldiers, only 20 survived. Although there are no exact statistics on the number of Japanese soldiers who escaped death, some say that despite animals' encirclement, 500 soldiers survived the island. However, this incident has been recorded in the Guinness Book of Records as the greatest disaster caused by animals.